everyone, it's GaroShadowscale again, and welcome back to another React segment. We're taking a look at The Last of Us Part 2 Inside the World official behind the scenes. Let's get right into it. Let's begin. I love The Last of Us Part 2, everything I've been seeing.
The world of The Last of Us is dangerous. Unless you're living in a protected area, there's something lethal around every corner. Once you venture out of your home, you're in danger. And where we're taking the story and where we're taking Ellie is like each step of the way, she's putting herself in more and more danger to bring these people to justice.
So it gets more and more intense over time, and you're never safe. It's not like you can just chill.
The world, in every sense of the word, is bigger than The Last of Us Part 1. Both in scale and the amount of physical space that exists for you to explore, for you to encounter other people.
Nice, really open worldy.
Perks. Our hope is to make every corner a challenge, make every decision hard for Ellie. And so we do that not just in the gameplay you experience, but also in the level design. So part of that is making certain experiences really hostile.
Look at those snow effects. Hang on, that looks really cool. Like seeing the particles of snow like on the horse, on your backpack, on your outfit. That actually looks really, really nice. Maybe I just noticed that really well because, you know, I'm an ice striker. I love snow. I love those kinds of effects. But this actually looks really, really cool. I like how well done that is.
Certain experiences really hostile, be it through weather,
yeah, the graphics do look good.
Through rivers or craggy cliffs or slick snow. But we also use it in terms of how blind the player is. Like, what can they see? How safe do you feel? Can you see a threat coming around the corner?
Yeah, right around the corner is an enemy.
You never know if the bullets in your gun are going to be enough. You never know if you can stop and bandage your arm. You can never fully breathe. And we want you to be in alignment with Ellie, who can never fully breathe when she experiences this trauma.
I think that's really good.
Jackson specifically.
So what they're saying, and that really fits the atmosphere. So it's just always tense. You can never really relax. There's always danger around every corner. You never really have a moment where you can just chill and everything's okay. I mean, maybe that might get frustrating at a certain point, but at the same time, I really think that's pretty immersive. Unless it's just like infinite enemies spawning in an area so that you can never like relax. But the concept is really, really interesting, and I want to see how that plays out.
Who can never fully breathe when she experiences this trauma.
For Jackson specifically, we wanted to make it feel like a very close-knit kind of community that's focused on family, focused on sustainable ways of living. I obviously have the hydroelectric dam generator that's powering the town, so we have, you know, electricity in Jackson, which is not something that maybe players would expect to see in the world. But given that we're further in time, we wanted to show that there are certain people dedicated in the world to rebuilding a life that doesn't revolve around killing people and scavenging.
So that's like the safe town.
As you walk around the town, you can hear kids laughing. You could see people going into restaurants and eating, and it's a very kind of tranquil town. Now, we know there's all these horrible things happening outside the walls, but they've been able to protect the innocence of this town.
Jackson, in many ways, represents what is at stake for our characters. A life of peace and relative comfort. A life where you can fall in love. A place where children can play and it's okay. And I think, you know, when we were looking at building out Jackson, it's like, okay, how many of those moments can we represent? What's awesome about the world of The Last of Us is it shows just how precious the things that we take for granted in our everyday lives.
That's really sweet.
Those things really are.
Sure thing, Flaming. Have a good one, bud. That's really, really sweet. I don't quite understand your comment, by the way, Iron.
Seattle
and now you're
Jackson
outside.
Is very different. It's more of a war zone, I would say.
Ooh, no kidding.
Part of the interesting thing with Seattle or the Pacific Northwest is that there's all this rain and all this foliage and wildlife, and it's this very lush area that if someone were to settle down, it'd be a pretty good place to settle down, just as far as the kind of fruit you can scavenge, the animals you can hunt. And then because it is so lush, because it is so teeming with resources, is why there are multiple factions trying to fight over those resources.
Okay, that makes sense.
One faction you run into in Seattle is the Washington Liberation Front. When the outbreak happened, the military took some pretty drastic actions and quarantined parts of the country. And this was their way of protecting the population that has survived this horrendous outbreak. And because of that, it led to rise of these resistance groups. And in the first game, we saw the Fireflies. And we heard about other groups, and in this game, we get to see, here's another group that rose called the Washington Liberation Front that was able to defeat the army and thereby take over a lot of their equipment. And they're this very militaristic faction.
So I actually, it was a long time since I played The Last of Us Part 1, and I only played through it once. I don't actually remember the Fireflies very well, but he was describing the first faction. Apparently, these were resistant groups that were fighting against the military that was quarantining off a bunch of people, and these resistant groups apparently won, so they were able to gain control of a lot of these military resources. That's kind of what we heard about before. Last of Us 1 and 2, you could hear enemies through walls, how blind players should... All right, yeah, we've seen, like, her senses. It's not shown in this video, but she does seem to have some kind of sense where you can see through walls and know where enemies are. That's true. Then the player can almost be ridiculously aware. I think you're right about that, actually. It's not shown in this video, so I would assume that sense mechanic is going to show up in the final game. I don't know. Maybe it's an upgrade. Maybe it's like a late-game upgrade to where you get that and you don't have it initially. I mean, we don't really know. I don't know how that works. So...
And at the same time, you have the Seraphites.
Oh, this is the other faction.
They're a religious group that also came up out of the outbreak that believed that the pandemic came because of sin.
Yeesh.
They're trying to reset the world and return it to a better place than it was.
In The Last of Us, almost any group that has survived this long has to be dangerous. If you're not dangerous, you're not going to survive. You're going to become someone's victim. And
that's true.
The two factions you run into are both very dangerous. The WLF has a lot of military equipment that they're able to use to defend this area, and they have large numbers, whereas the Seraphites are very quiet and stealthy and able to use the large amount of foliage to their advantage, and
that's
they
scary,
fight more
dude.
as kind of guerrilla warfare.
How you deal with them is going to be different because they have different language, they different communication style. The scars will whistle to each other with this different language. And they have some of the stuff that you have. You have a bow and arrow, they can hit you with arrows and impale you, and you have to pull the arrow out.
Oh, geez, that's an actual thing? You have to pull the arrow out? Yo.
That you have. You have a bow and arrow, they can hit you with arrows and impale you, and you have to pull the arrow.
I haven't seen that sort of thing except like maybe cinematically in some video games. If you get hit by an arrow in a cutscene, your character pulls it out. But do you mean like an actual gameplay? Like,
Arrow out.
oh, geez, dude. Hang on. Let me back up to that. Yeesh. So, are you gonna have to do this every single time you get hit by an arrow? I'm assuming if you get hit by an arrow, there's some kind of penalty. Maybe you take damage over time or something, and you have to like pull it out, maybe medicate the wound. I don't know how much detail they're gonna put into this, but they kind of make it sound like every single time you get hit by an arrow, at some point you got to remove that arrow, or it's gonna be a problem. That mechanic was in the first game, was it? I don't remember it. Okay, it's been a really long time since I played the first game, so for whatever reason, I don't remember this mechanic. But anyways, honestly, I would prefer the military guys to these sneaky... I don't like fighting sneaky boys, because they might try to out-sneak the boys, then I won't feel comfortable. Big Isolation, it's good to see you. But yeesh, that's intense,
They
okay.
have big sledgehammers and
Oh, wait,
weapons.
did you just take a direct hit from that?
They have
Wait. No, slow down.
big sledgehammers and...
Oh my god! That is not something you want to get directly hit by. Oh, so how much did... Okay, so that did hit you pretty hard. You took like only a third... I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are like difficulty settings in the game. Maybe this is like a lower difficulty. But I imagine getting hit by a giant sledgehammer like that wouldn't just only wipe out this much health. Big sledgehammer to the face? Yeah.
melee weapons. WLF, they have trained dogs that will sniff and attack you.
Dogs are a new level of threat that Ellie hasn't had to negotiate before, and hopefully they create a new complicated choice for the player. We saw in them an opportunity to challenge people's perceptions of what a combat setup can be. We wanted to find really hard choices. The dogs themselves have names. They're called out by their owners. We wanted every setup to be challenging.
Dang. Yeah, big time dizzy.
Smell. Looks like infected did this. How many do you think it would take to bring down a moose?
Infected are still a threat in this world. We wanted to take first our basic classes that we had in the first game and say, okay, what's different about them now? So we'll have scenarios where way more runners, like we can have hordes sometimes of runners coming after you, and it might be about just escaping because the odds are just overwhelming. You know, this thing just keeps mutating. There's certain evolutions of infected that you haven't seen before, certain new classes.
There's the Shamblers, which kind of have these exploding acid clouds when you get near them.
You're running down a hallway and you have to
wait,
suddenly
what was
make a
that? Did you
decision
set a
like, oh, do I
trap?
want to
Basically,
what did she
about
do?
haven't seen
She was holding
Exploding
something.
new classes.
There's the
Yeah, this is some kind of explosive. I didn't notice she had put it down.
which kind of have these
Oh yeah, she put it down right there. She can put it down
acid
pretty
clouds,
fast.
when you get near them.
You're running down a hallway and you have to suddenly make a decision like, oh, do I want to take the damage and go through this cloud, or find some other route, or go back the way I came? And it kind of forces you to, on the fly, kind of make
I
new
like that,
decisions
though.
about how you're going to deal with the threat behind you or potentially in front of you.
So
It is
again, it's
brutal, and I
about
like
how do
that.
we make fighting against infected intelligent. So when you come on a space, you're listening to audio cues because different classes will make different sounds. If you just go in guns blazing and throw caution in the wind, you could easily get overwhelmed and regret that strategy.
That level of uncertainty and instability is something our characters have to carry with them every day as they go out into the world to protect the people they love most. And that threat is banging on their door every day.
I really hope you make it.
Dang. June 19th. Yeah,
religious
this
group.
is looking really good, dude. I am actually super hyped for this game. This style of gameplay interests me. I don't really like slow-paced, patient style gameplay. This looks very action-packed, quick. You got to make fast decisions. You got to adapt quickly. You got to react quickly. I like it. I'm actually really excited to play this. This sounds like my style of gameplay, and I'm super hyped to play it. And the level of immersion is absolutely unreal. Yeesh. So this video seemed like it was mostly focusing on telling you about the different kinds of enemies you could run into. So you could run into the military faction. Well, it's not that they're a military faction. They were a resistance group that defeated the military and they got a lot of the military weapons. And then there's this religious faction that they seem to use a lot more stealth and cover to fight you, bows and arrows, that sort of thing. And if you get shot by an arrow, you got to pull the arrow out. So you're saying that was in the first game? What would happen if you got shot by an arrow? Are you still interested in it? Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm absolutely interested in playing this game. I wouldn't let go of enemy's arms so easy. Yeah, they probably let you off the hook a little bit more easily. I would imagine the dog would like pounce you and like sink its teeth into you. But yeah, the game does feel very brutal. Shamblers look like bloaters from the first game. Ah, okay. All right, I can't wait for the stream to take care. Yeah, 2 weeks from today is when this game comes out. Probably a good idea to replay the first game. I don't know if I want to replay the first game just before this one. Like, I mean, I'd have to dedicate streams to that. And I would rather stream things I haven't played before.
It's mutating. There's,
Like, it's
there's
okay.
certain evolutions of.
I mean, I remember like how the story ended, and I feel like that's about like the most important thing. But maybe I don't remember too much about the world itself. It says that the hearing ability was in the first game, not the the hearing ability. Oh, okay, in the first. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the arrows being shot into you. Because I didn't remember that hearing ability. Actually, I don't even remember that one too well either. Yeah, it's been a while. But this gameplay looks amazing. I'm really excited. And anyways, yeah, so the second group is the religious group. Then, of course, you've got your classic infected. You could have your standard runners. They just swarm you. They may overwhelm you if you give away your position, make too much noise. And sometimes you just got to escape. You got to run away. Then you got clickers, bloaters, etc. And even some higher levels of infected mutations that we haven't even seen before. So that'll be interesting. I know one thing that was a big thing in The Last of Us Part 1 was resources are usually scarce. So it's not like you can just treat it as a third-person shooter behind cover where you can just have your guns and shoot everything down. You're going to run out of ammo, probably. I mean, every single clip we've seen, she doesn't even have enough usually for like another mag. She's usually very low on ammo. I wonder if something like the bow, I mean, maybe you could make arrows without too much trouble. But she always seems so low on ammo in every single one of these clips, which if I remember correctly for The Last of Us 1, that was a big issue as well. Which is why you had to be a bit more on the stealthy end, because you usually just didn't have enough ammunition to go loud all the time. But yeah, I suppose we'll see. Maybe there are even some perks you can do to help with that. Maybe if you scavenge enough, you will be able to make enough ammunition more effectively, especially if it's like arrows for a bow. I don't know. But at any rate, this game has to be hyped. It looks really cool, and I can't wait to see more of it. But that's going to be it for this Reacts video. If you liked it, please leave a like and comment. It does help out a lot. I do upload new video to this channel and my streams channel every single day, so make sure you subscribe to both and hit the notification bell so you never miss out. I also stream daily on Twitch starting at 12 p.m. Central and ending at 4 p.m. Central, so make sure you follow me there to catch you when I'm live. Link is in the description. But that's it for that. We're going to head on over to Moa Stray now, which is going to be on my streams channel, so I'll see you there.